We live in a season of hostages, and Seattle isn't much different than the city of Pittsburgh was when it came to who pulls the plug on independent press reporting. I didn't have much trouble noting the tyranny of the monster Reagan at Pitt News, but when I discussed Mike's seat, the plug was pulled. He was a black tattooed warrior of the Pittsburgh underclass culture in fine arts rebellion at Carnegie Mellon University and elsewhere. So we know by the fact that the plug was pulled by Eastwood on my intelligence report concerning Shirilla and Jericho project, whose sound mental health is terrified of having the public notified concerning. What I know of Latino culture is mixed up in Jericho Project. Jericho Project, from what I know of it, is loosely associated with Ramsey Clark and Oliver Stone's favorite, Leonard Peltier. And when you look at the situation with Hollywood, you're talking about celebrity rivalries, and getting a press report written always has to clear the hurdle of the Central Intelligence Agency when it comes to media as brokered. And this is easily illustrated by the fact that nobody reported the war game that was shown to have surrounded the AIDS attack on Mount Desert Island and the way it led ever so disgracefully to the COVID monstrosity. We still live in a world where people believe the Doonesbury side of the explanation being given by the Gurdjieff Society for what Robert Fripp pulled with John Schulman. To give you an idea of their mentality, the way they swami for Eno and Biden and Buckley's crowd, the way they swami the symbolatry of the wow. You can look at what the Smithsonian and Pittsburgh Post-Gazette settled on as the amount. Nobody knows how much John Schulman really stole or what all John Schulman really did. But they settled on $6 million, man, because $6 million, when you hear $6 million and it's a Jew, what do you think? See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Wow! That's the way they swami things. And so he got off the hook, even though he should rightly be a suspect in the COVID attack. Because of the COVID attack, he got house arrest. And they're flimming their flams about how it worked. I'll give you an example of this. One thinks that Penis Gabriel used to keep the King family silent when they tortured a white. A white! Was, he used Bush as an expert in science fiction from the Red Scare. Safe fascism of the sort that's promulgated by Bernie Sanders is in a handshake with the safe fascism of Hitler Reagan, who just wore an ordinary suit and tie. So people, it said, we won't dress like fascists, and you will in turn not say that we are. And they scrubbed and erased from history the meaning of the Brown Scare, which used to be around with the Red Scare, which was fear of the American Bund and the fascist movement in the United States. They've made talking about America's cultural history virtually illegal. And when they hardwired into my child psychology, they traumatized and froze with a nerve agent that was designed by Attica State Prison Authority. And in retirement, the dude ended up at my neighbor. He was an index name, Wattenmaker. You know, the people around Schwarzenegger promoted Greta Thunberg as an icon of holiness in a feedback loop to Queerball's being tortured as a child. And then they said, Allah has decreed that we were sexually expunged, exploded, we were sexually calorized, this implant. And so they terrorized the inner vision of sexual psychology. And they say that thou believe that you would support a victim of terrible sexual terror torture. And that means, guess what? You support Martin Luther King's dalliances on Coretta on the side, because it means sex is a normal for the liberal. And this is the mindset that gave the pornography division of the Red Scare warriors the insane audacity to murder Dr. King and write a script that Pittsburgh came howling, belongs to them, that's our script, that's ours. And King Crimson was, no, it's ours, it's ours. And Swami Nostra said, it's a sacred pouch. We were determined by secret intelligence agency, rapid eye movement therapy, whose story it really is. And all of this incredible insanity comes from Clint Eastwood, Prince Charles, the London Church of England crowd, and of course, the safe fascists like Bernie Sanders have never said a word about any of it. They've depicted me as in the grips of a neurological implant that they say has made me a vampire after dogs and children. And they get the Jericho people to say, well, we're going to put electrodes in your head and read your drool while you have Parkinson's. And this terrible Swami Nostra came up with neurochemicals that flip the psychology. Let me explain what happened to Mackenzie Shirilla. Neurohypnosis puts implants in your psyche. It's the way the mind works. They use Pink Floyd is one of the sickest monsters who ever lived. So is Brian Eno. And Colin Elgee came up with a group they call hypnosis, which is spelled like hippie-nosis. And these people play mind games. That's one of their songs was called Mind Games. And they use subliminal psychology. And what happens, have you ever seen an epileptic seizure? I never have. I heard they're scary. But the body loses control. I can tell you from Parkinson's that the neurologists know how to take control of your body the way the Outer Limits takes control of your television set. And they're super funded by these pornographers at Carnegie Mellon University. They had a script that they implanted in a 10, 11-year-old who they battered and tortured. That they were waiting 10, 15 years later to do natural language research about to the office of Jaime Carbonell, whose partner in office mate, Peter Shell, was donating to Sandinistas, to Jericho Project, to Leonard Peltier. And he was a real rabble-rouser. He was introduced to me from one of the most right-wing Minutemen from Greenville, Tom Hodge, at Carnegie Mellon University. So this is all implant stuff from Bush and then lampoon stuff from Donald Trump, the tune monster of all time. And they want robo-control of, while they lampoon a victim of torture. That's what's at work. There's none of this stuff that they're projecting to try to depict me as having lost control. I mean, they punished me. They gave me Parkinson's. But they say they wanted to prove their theory that they could use sexual Satanism in a liberal little boy to create a vampire. This was their Svengali twiddling with the antennas, on the television set, the spinner beanie, the shadow of the spinner. Who knows what lurks in the secret psychology of a queer bait? The spinner beanie knows. They had the script Persona Lost in Dreams, but they spelled dreams like the name Deanna. And Joel Kaplan knew the entire script. He could write the way Gail Burston did. But he was sent to retrospective convert what really happened into a new allegation for Schulman, for Mellenbank, for Bush, swastika secret hoarders like Ralph Proctor and Joseph Biden. And they all went in on it. They all went in and share 50-50, man. We'll detonate the neuroplasm in the little boy. And what it is when you're under the grip of Wattmaker's neurological hypnotic agency, you lose. I described it. I was 14 years old when it happened. Just turned 14. It's like an epileptic seizure. The only thing that survives is your mind, and you think your mind is helping you pull through. That's why we know that they use the neurohypnotics on Mackenzie Shirilla, because her testimony is exactly the same. But they also surrounded her with burning crosses, semiotic symbols that are notorious from the left bank of Paris mentality. Because the left bank of Paris are people who are safe fascists. They want to get rid of the excess. They feel overcrowded. We don't want to turn our backs on the poor, but we don't want any more of these Rohingyas and so forth. And Donald Trump's like, well, there's such a burden to both right and left. Let's listen to Chomsky and Sanders. And they come up with this stuff. So the bottom line is no matter whether you can use the evidence to disentangle America from its bullshit and foolish genocidal programs or not, you must observe the fact that a minor in Ohio's rights have been violated by the travesty of this organized network of systems coming out of Access Hollywood. I'm doing your homework for you. And I never get a word of thanks. I never get a single word of thanks for trying to protect the Blue House, for trying to protect the rave, supernova rave, for trying to protect the black and white kids who were in the Clubhouse movement. I never get a word of thanks. They say I think I'm special. What did I say when I graduated from college with honors? To a girl with Down syndrome. It was because of you. This was one-on-one to her, not for performance art. Not to make Lisa Miles' fan base go, wow, he is so cool. It was because she did something dynamite for a poor deaf man. She did something to help me. You see, when somebody helps you, you should say thank you. But what they did was Crookhead Ragustu built a feedback loop. A really sicko, weird feedback loop. They couldn't say I'm to blame for the Hiroshima bomb. So what they said was, I had blood on my hands. And they spin the Swami Noshta button, how there was two spinners in the cartoon where the guy would call and give me a band name, he'd spin one. It'd stop at Iceland Zebra. How about the Iceland Zebras? There's a whole bunch of words, and he just spin them, you know what I'm saying? The spinner beanies, they cook up a real firestorm, and they underscore with the truth. The truth is what? He's trying to get in on supernatural legacies, man. He's trying to get the pussy. Where's this pussy you keep saying I'm getting? I've been alone for 35 years. Where's all this pussy you keep saying I'm getting? Toy Wilcox. Troy Wilcox, give me a carpet. Mo, Larry, carpet. Mo, Larry, carpet.